Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Pillars of Eternity with me, Break It Dawn.
Feisty one. There's a woman can do some damage squeezing her legs together.
It isn't a parlor trick. Besides, she doesn't take orders well.
Akbo, that woman. Does it scare you?
No, but I won't be responsible for what happens if you call her whore.
Sure.
Alright, let's explore Dyrford. We'll start over here, work our way west to east.
Sure.
Shh.
Your thoughts must flow deeply indeed.
Huh?
That's unusual.
If secrets whisper here, I shall listen for them.
The mill slowly grinds away at a trough of grain. Alright, not a lot going on in the mill. Darn Gallowayne for monsters like that, and darn the rest of the gods too. So he had a name. Rimbald. A man paces angrily in front of a wrecked animal pen, his sun-weathered face twisted with ire. He's so wrapped up in his fury, it doesn't seem to notice you. Gallowayne's slobbering beasts, blazing bloody effigy, thrice darn salty wench and her soggy... What's wrong? That monster stole my pigs, traipsed into the village, tore down my pen, and made off with the whole darn herd. Just left a few little runts, and what am I supposed to do with them? Calm down and tell me what happened. He bites his lip and closes his eyes. His nostrils flare with each quick, angry breath. Wife's always telling me to mind my temper. Just breathe deep and count to 10. He sighs. An ogre moved into the area not long ago. Folk had been seeing glimpses and tracks out in the wood, but it seemed to be staying away from town. Or so we all thought, until it made off with my pigs. Now, everyone's afraid it's going to develop a taste for kith, if it hasn't already. Did you see the ogre take your pigs? What else would have destroyed my pen and made off with my herd? And at the same time, the rest of the village is seeing a 10-foot monster in the forest. He gives you an appraising look. I know a few toughs like you during the Saints' War. Which is it? Laid for hire or raid for fun? I know it's too late to get my pigs back, but it'd set my mind at ease to see that thing's head shorn from its neck. In fact, you bring its ugly pate to me, and I'll trade you for something that's of less use to a farmer like me than to a rowdy-looking sort like yourself. What do you know about the ogre? It's the same as any other, I'm sure. A big ugly son of a gun with a nasty temper and an appetite to match. Grigo could tell you more. He claims to have seen it in the wood. You can find him in his shop, right by the broken tower. Need something else? I've been sent to find an Orla named Nefri. Know where she is. Never heard of her. Never even heard of her. Fair enough.
Be cautious. Be constant.
Nice and quiet.
If secrets whisper here, I shall listen for them.
Dracogen Inn. Or Dracogen. Let's start with the shops, and then we'll go to the inn.
My thoughts will be as silent as my feet.
Winfrith's Arms and Armory. Make sure I said that right.
Yeah.
My thoughts will be as silent as my feet.
Aye?
Your thoughts must flow deeply indeed.
Like how sometimes when you select her, you just hear the chimes chiming.
Hail and well met.
A portly, smiling man stands behind a warped wooden counter, polishing a buckler. He looks up. Haven't seen you before. Always glad to see a new face in town. Company's good for business, and chatter's good for the soul. That's what I always say. Anyhow, what can I do for you? What's been going on in Dyrford? Oh, we're a quiet little town. Not much happens here. Especially not since the legacy hit. People realized they couldn't have babies, and just stopped trying altogether. That takes a lot of the excitement out of the day-to-day, if you can believe it. Show me what you have for sale. Tall grass. It's a pike. Exceptional. 10% of hits converted to crits, and crits can inflict prone. A group of Adir and pikemen were so disciplined in battle that they garnered the attention of the Faircunning himself. He made them members of his personal retinue, and ordered special weapons fashioned for them. They marched at the head of his procession, and their movement perfectly synchronized. Their movement perfectly synchronized, and their pikes swing like blades of grass in the wind. The pikemen became a public favorite during royal festivals and parades, and both they and their weapons earned the nickname Tall Grass. How does that compare? I think the prone effect is better than the -5 accuracy, but for the prone to take effect, it needs to be a crit. So I have no control over that. We'll see. Are the Hours of Saint Rumbalt. So plus 0.5 to crit damage multiplier, and crits can inflict prone. Again, it's got the accurate enchantment. Saint Rumbalt was among the first of the Eothasian pilgrims to take up the Emperor's offer of resettlement in the distant territory of Riadceris. A dedicated priest of the Shining God, Rumbalt was regarded as a leader in his community, known both for his unwavering dedication to his congregation and his stern vigilance against lapses in doctrine. What survives of his sermons reflects his duality, where he emphasized the redemptive power of the faith, even as he warned against the dire punishments awaiting those who rejected Eothas' beneficence. Oh, this is a long one. The colonization efforts brought Eothasian settlers into direct conflict with the native Orlan populations, and Rumbalt was among those credited with routing several brutal attacks upon the settlement. Ultimately, however, Rumbalt was mortally wounded during a violent raid. Witnesses claimed that upon the moment of his death, Rumbalt's body was suffused by an overwhelming burst of light, knocking the remaining Orlan warriors flat, while scattering them back into the forest. Accounts arose of Rumbalt's final hours, describing the great miracles which were observed to have occurred during the day preceding his death. Eothas, it was said, had informed Rumbalt of his fate, and the priest accepted this gladly and without fear, for he knew that death was only the first step in his rebirth. He subsequently marked each of his final 27 hours with the miraculous act, such that his congregation would know of the gift Eothas had bestowed upon him, and continue Rumbalt's work in his stead. Rather than staunch the flow of Eothasian settlers, Rumbalt's death only encouraged more pilgrims to venture across the sea, eager to set their eyes upon the final resting place of Eothas' favored servant. The Hours of St. Rumbalt was forged in dedication to this patron saint of the resettlement, and its blade is inscribed with markings, counting the 27 hours before Rumbalt's passing. In such manner was the blade imbued with the saint's power. It was said that a man might kneel before the sword and know with precision the moment of his death. That's some awesome flavor text. Lengthy, but good. Grudgekeeper. The rod. Plus 20% damage against prone, stunned, flanked enemies. One of the many Orlan slaves freed by the 10 Years' Treaties, Maswin Kas swore vengeance against those who had wronged her and her people, gathering a small group of fellow freed Orlans to perform night raids on known slavers. She would go on to join the Grief's forces in putting down the Cooper's Rebellion in an unofficial capacity. It was at this point that she acquired an ornately carved rod in the home of a wealthy slave owner. Every time Kas brought down a foe, she would scratch a notch onto the rod she wielded. By the time she lost possession of it, the rod bore a crisscross pattern along its length that many assumed was part of its original design. Ritezi's Thorn. Spear. The plus 10 accuracy when below 50% endurance, plus 20% damage while endurance below 50%, and plus 25% crush damage. The sight of Ritezi on the battlefield was something no combatant ever forgot. Stocky and short, even by Orlan standards, Ritezi insisted on using his spear in lieu of any other weapon offered him. To the frequent shock of his comrades, Ritezi proved an unstoppable force on the battlefield. No matter how overwhelming the odds, Ritezi could take down opponents with almost comical ease, leaping great heights to bring his spear down upon his foes with crushing force. Whenever it seemed that Ritezi might at last meet his end, the fearless Orlan would find a second wind, fight with renewed conviction. I think this plus 5 accuracy is also unique to it. They threw the fine enchantment in the middle. Mosquito. Let's compare it to... oh, where's that? His rapier. The exit look. Alright, so Mosquito is a rapier. Plus 5 accuracy, 20% of damage restored as endurance, and minus 5 concentration. This finely crafted but unassuming rapier was created in the hot and humid forests of the Kithwood. Its first owner was a minor nobleman named Adwin Grundmelf, known in social circles for his obsequious manner and annoying habit of lingering too long where he was not wanted. Adwin had little use for the blade in the courts he frequented. When Adwin died an unnotable death, the blade passed to a young niece, Hayden Grundmelf. She found that the weapon had characteristics of her uncle, good at interrupting at inopportune times, draining the life out of anyone it came into contact with, and a generally annoying presence. It was Caden who gave the rapier its nickname Mosquito, and used it regularly in court duels. I keep losing my place. The weapon passed to Adwin's grandson in the Deerwood upon her death. A thane of Queen's Run. He was lost during a Glenfathan raid. Mosquito was lost with him. As he had no descendants, and none of the Grundmeths of a deer had made a claim on the rapier, it has circulated among the anonymous Glenfathan and Deerwooden owners ever since. We haven't seen a lot of unique axes, have we? We have the one equipped on Sagani, but I think that's it. Angio's Gambison. The plus 2 athletics grants deleterious alacrity of motion. Plus 2% attack speed for 30 seconds, minus 11 endurance over 30 seconds. Plus 2 move speed for 30 seconds. Hey, I don't think I finished equipping Groovy Mother, did I? I have to look at our inventory and see what we have for her. The renowned Valian acrobat, Angio, wore this garment while performing jaw-dropping feats that seemed to defy the laws of nature and the standards of good sense. He would leap and tumble across wires suspended high above the ground. While there is no evidence that this Gambison actually reduced his intelligence, his concern for safety lessened as his fame and skill grew. He forswore the wearing of safety harnesses, and eventually the use of any kind of safety rope, claiming that these tethers limited his ability to perform. While his skill never failed him, one of his tight ropes unfortunately did. He plunged to his death at the foot of Akenzi Fortress. Boots of Zealous Command can be used by Paladin, plus 20% Zealous Aura Area of Effect. We might get these. I'm going to X out of this and see what my current area of effect is for both my paladins. An officer of the Darkosi Palladini of Old Valia first wore these. It was said that those under her command knew her by the sound of her approach, and stood a little straighter in her presence. She is known throughout the order for her inspirational leadership. Check one more thing. Okay, spears don't have the extended reach. A voice of the mountaintop. Only usable by chanter, plus 20% chant area of effect. That'd be good for Hana. I'm pretty sure he has like a generic amulet or cloak or something. Dwarven chanters of the White March are said to have mastered projection techniques to such a degree that they can trigger distant avalanches with their voices. Whether or not this specific rumor is true, they're known to chant between peaks and across rugged valleys, exchanging messages with their brethren across great distances. This amulet was forged by an ancient order of druids in the White March, precursors to the Ethic Knoll of Twin Elms. It was worn and passed down from one watchman to the next, men and women who stood guard atop the high peaks, ready to warn their fellows of approaching armies. We'll go ahead and buy this for Kana. Then let's see.
Hey.
Use a dare. Mark my character here, and a
Hey.
dare. Yeah, I mean, it's a decent range. I don't think I need that. If I extended it further...
Your thoughts must flow deeply indeed.
I could possibly get my ranged characters to also benefit from the aura. I could also just move them up closer. That's not a pair of boots I think I need. But I currently have equipped. Yeah, I like the defense, since I'm a frontliner. I could give it to her, but her aura's range is already further. I don't think that I need to.
Yeah.
So I don't think I will. Let's see what else we have to equip with on her. Let's see. Intellect and lore, probably worthwhile. Yeah, let's give this to her. I thought there was Cypher-specific equipment we've seen before, so I'm gonna have to track that down. Maybe back in Defiance Bay.
Yeah.
Greetings.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's keep exploring. I don't know what just came out of my mouth. Keep exploring the Dyrwood. We're gonna check out the apothecary next.
Lawrence, do you take anything seriously? Or is the entire world just a setup for your idiotic punchlines?
Is the punchline, bird woman. In all its weakness. Would you kill the messenger?
If he were as annoying as you, I'd consider it.
How do you do?
A young woman leans against a wagon. One arm and one side of her face are covered in bandages, with raw rippled flesh showing underneath. A minty, tangy scent wafts from her dressing. She smiles painfully. Just ventured into town. I'm about to dry some of my stocks. Be welcome to have a look-see. But why are your stocks limited? It's the darn roads. Can't reach none of my suppliers, so I'm stuck with whatever I can scrounge up in the wood. Deercap, river reed, and the like. That's well and good, but most potions require something stronger too. troll skin, vessel bone, what have you. And there's the really rare ingredients, things you'd never be able to afford, let alone find on your own. What did you find? Undina winces as the rest of the story comes tumbling out of her. I've been keeping an eye on the Drake's Nest east of town, at Dyrford Crossing. The bee stayed just long enough to lay a clutch and moved on. Thank the Sky Mother wasn't a full-grown dragon. She looks at her bandaged arm and grimaces. Fresh eggs are much more useful than the ones that get passed between merchants or left in nests for weeks or more, and that clutch looked to be at its peak. Thought I'd see about getting an egg, but I didn't realize so many of them had already hatched, or that young worms were so territorial. I could get an egg for you. She keeps her gaze steady, but you see hope kindling in her eyes and twitching at the corners of her mouth. I sure hope you're not leading me on. I don't think I could stand getting burned again. She bites her lip. If you really mean to go after it, I'd certainly pay you. Just remember, big as they are, dragon eggs are fragile. There's a lot more I can do with a whole one.
Gods keep you.
You adjust one of her bandages. Anything else I can do for you? I've got some handy ointments if you're braving the roads anytime soon. Tell me again about the dragon egg. It's in a nest is perched. That's not right. It's in a nest that's perched in a cliff on the east end of Dyrford Crossing. That's out in the wilds just east of here. I'm sure there are others elsewhere, but the one at Dyrford Crossing is just the age I need. If you head out that way, be careful. The place is crawling with worms when I went out there, and I can't imagine they've gone anywhere else. How did you get burned? She turns her face to the ground. By the flame. How bad does it look? Terrible, I know it. And who cares how it looks? What matters is that you're okay. Suppose you're right. Good thing I know my poultices. She sighs. I told you about my run-in with the worms. I reckon you put the rest together already. I'm looking for an Orlan named Nefri. I did see an Orlan lady headed into the Dracogen just the other day, or Dracogen. She points across the road at a large building. Don't know what her name was, but she's acting real sneaky-like. What's wrong with the roads? A noise of disgust rattles from her throat. Brigands, looters, you name it. The gods may be hollowing out our babies, but it's grown folk that's rubbing out the rest of us. People are scrambling to Defiance Bay, because they hear there's healthy births there, and all those refugees in abandoned homes attract desperate sorts, like flies on dog crap. Show me your wares. She steps aside. Sure thing. The shelves of her cart contain jars, vials, and bundled paper packets. I don't know if I need anything from here, so...
Yeah.
Not gonna worry about it quite yet. The ledger lies open on the desk. It lists purchase and sale amounts for various alchemical ingredients and concoctions.
Be quiet.
Darn backer NPCs are scattered throughout the game like watchdogs.
They shall see nothing while I see much.
Should probably take some of the equipment from Sagani and give it to Grieving Mother as well. Because I already want to take the bow. I should give her the cloak that she has equipped. For the stealth bonus.
You know, Durant, just because you follow the goddess of fire doesn't mean you need to literally consume everything you come across.
It's a favor I grant to those I meet. It makes them stronger, or it ends them mercifully if not.
The remaining unemptied beer steins of the Deerwood quake in fear.
Alright, let's go to Trigill's Curry. I can't find it anywhere. We'll talk about this later. Get back to the dyes. I'll take care of our customer. Feel like a threat. Courier's key. Key is stained by the dye in which you found it. Dyes fill the wooden vats. They smell of dung and plant matter.
Steady does it.
I'm not one for chit-chat, human. Speak to Trigo if you've got questions.
How do you do?
A sturdy, broad-shouldered man wipes his hands on his slacks. He reeks of the same foul compound wafting from the vats. And his arms are stained with dye. You looking to purchase some leather? What do you have for sale? Growth of Mortal Protection. I think we've seen this before. A Trollhide Belt. +1 endurance per 3 seconds. The spell has been crafted from the mossy hide of a forest troll, with intertwined vines and leaves forming a solid and resistant piece of clothing. Any damage done to the belt tends to be obscured by new growth, but the moss and small plants which grow upon the belt retain some life. But the resulting effect is somewhat like wearing a herb garden around one's waist. The piece of hide holds some of the troll's power, granting the wearer the creature's ability to recover from wounds. Not a very rapid heal. I mean, it's such a small amount, I don't think that the bonus healing that Adair gets would even benefit. Also, could you not put other alchemical ingredients on here and grow it? Have like a portable garden with you? The other plant matter grows off of it. He wipes a splotch of dye from his elbow with his shirt tail. Something else you need. What's in the collapsed tower? It's collapsed. Nothing. He rolls his eyes and shrugs. A few hides on stretching racks, and the tallow stench of danglers always grumbling about. The rest of the keep's dust, just like the fool Lady Thanu who tried to hold it. There's a bard at the inn who'll tell you the whole blazing story, if you want to hear it. Rimbald mentioned something about an ogre. He's hardly talked about anything else since those pigs of his went missing. The whole town's been worried about that monster. People are starting to see shapes in their windows at night, hearing its growl and the snoring of their mates. It would put a lot of minds at ease if someone got rid of it. He scrapes at a red pigment under his fingernails. I sometimes venture into the wilderness, collecting ingredients for my dyes, mind you. I've seen tracks east of here, near the river. That couldn't have been anything else. Have you seen Nefri, an Orlin from Defiance Bay? I make it a point to keep out of other people's business. Alright, so we can go in here. I wonder if he'll attack us. We should probably listen to this story from the bard first. So that's what he seemed to be hinting at.
Eyes open.
The stable has been scarred and stained from decades of use. The portrait depicts a man and a woman dressed in a deer garb that would have been in style a century ago. The heavy frame has been battered, and the plate that once bore the patron's name has been scratched out. They share a passionate embrace, which seems at odds with the disgust on their faces.
I just want to find her. Surely even you can understand that.
We're decent folk, my lord. Perhaps you should leave and check the wilds.
Alright, so to meet with Lord Harrand. The Scolder head looks as old as the inn. Its leathery skin is cracked and bleached from years of exposure. Sid, wonder if they have an airship. Heavy sweet perfumes emanate from the barrels. The stave joints are stained dark brown and dull purple.
I'll see what I can find.
Alright, let's speak to Pace, and then I'll probably call it an episode, and then speak with everybody else in the inn. What are you doing in the kitchen? Dangler will get you sorted out with food and drink. Thought his name was unfortunate, but then he put
Right.
LL at the end of it. It's even more goofy. Alright, I'll call it here. Our next episode, we'll speak to Cid, Dangler, Lord Harrond, then we'll head upstairs and possibly find Nefri. He's just to be around here somewhere. And I don't see any Orlans downstairs. But for now, thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one.